الإبادة الجماعية في الأرض المقدسة كانت قرابين بدء مرحلة جديدة تم إعلانها بما يسمى مؤتمر شرم الشيخ لإنهاء حرب غزة. حذرنا نبينا محمد صلوات الله عليه وآله أن فتنة الدجال هي أعظم فتنة منذ خلق الله سبحانه وتعالى أبينا آدم عليه صلوات الله. نحن اليوم نعيش المراحل الأخيرة المدمرة من هذه الفتنة. كل الأحداث التي تراها هي مرتبطة ببعض ومصدرها واحد، هو الأوروبي الدجال جند المسيح الدجال وأعوانه من جميع الأجناس ومنهم أعوانه من بني جودتنا. جميع هذه الأحداث ليست مصادفة، بل تم التخطيط لها وإشعالها في الوقت المحدد لها، وهي إما أن تكون هي نفسها طقوس أو يترافق معها طقوس معينة. في هذا العالم الشيطاني الدجال الهالك قريبا لا محالة، وجب على المؤمن أن يترك الناس جميعهم ينجو بنفسه، يرحل إلى الجبال والريف البعيد، يكون أولياؤه هم فقط الله سبحانه وتعالى ونبينا محمد صلوات الله عليه وآله وأصحابه سلام الله عليهم، ويتمسك بالقرآن العظيم والسنة النبوية، يكون هما حياته التي يعيشها، يتمسك بهما حرفيا بدون شريك مع أي كتب أخرى، يعض عليهما بنواجذه بقوة إذا أراد النجاة بإذن الله تعالى ورحمته من الغرق في هذا العالم الدجال الشيطاني المجنون. التالي هو أبناء جلدة الأوروبي الدجال يفضحون خططه.
In a world of coincidences, we get this. And of course, these coincidences that we constantly see are not really coincidences. So it wasn't a coincidence that Donald Trump was in Egypt for this ceasefire deal where all these world leaders got together to sign a treaty that would begin a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. Or should we just call them Hamas, or should we call them by their real name, which is the Mossad, being that Hamas is the creation of the Mossad, and pretty much what you see when it comes to these fictitious wars are governments murdering their own people and committing genocide against their own people. And a lot of the stuff that's obviously been going on over there is for the greater Israel expansion. And what you're going to see with that massive prison that they're building out, that's going to be connected to this smart rebuilt Gaza Strip. So Donald Trump is being called Cyrus the Great. These are some of the billboards that are being featured and seen around the earth right now. He is being compared to King Cyrus. He is being compared to Alexander the Great. So I'm sure it was just a coincidence while Donald Trump is there signing this massive treaty, which he's getting all the credit for. While that's occurring, there was a concert that took place right in front of the pyramids. You may remember Anima. I've covered him in the past. Anima, who has his Genesis project, the end of Genesis. I'm sure that's not biblical at all. And of course, his concerts, if you want to call them that, are all about using massive amounts of frequencies on his audience while conditioning them into transhumanism. And I'm sure it's a coincidence, too, that if you go to Anima's Instagram account, instead of having a nice portrait of himself, he has a portrait of his eye. So he's at the pyramids. He's obsessed with eyeballs, right? Like all these celebrities, all failed optometrists who constantly love to hold a hand up over one of their eyes. And of course, we know the all-seeing eye of Lucifer that is on the back of the dollar bill features that one eye symbolism as well. And as I've mentioned in the past with Anima, again, transhumanism is the name of the game. He even has pictures of himself connected to the Internet of Bodies, kind of like what we saw in the movie The Matrix. Well, now we're seeing The Matrix come to life with everything that's happened since the pandemic, where we're actually seeing man and machine merged, and we're actually witnessing these big tech companies tell us that the future of the smartphone is a brain-computer interface, which means that it's inside of your body, and that by 2030, phones will be obsolete. Well, do you think that that means that we're going back to the old days of horse and buggy with all the control they have over everybody with their cell phones and technology? Well, of course not. What it means is they have to condition you into the next phase of man mixing with machine. So I'm going to play for you some of the stuff from his concert. I might have to remove the audio for copyright purposes, but that's not the point of me showing you this. What you need to pay attention to is all the blatant symbolism the twin pillars, the capstone on the pyramid being lit up. And you'll notice some other things as well, including the gigantic demonic AI that is looking out over the crowd. There was a ritual of the consecration of the old world into the new world. And that's exactly why Anima was there performing while Donald Trump and all these leaders got together to put on this show, pretending that they're signing a ceasefire. And again, Hamas is an expansion of Mossad. These militaries don't fight one another. You don't see them fighting each other on the battlefield. All you see is destruction of innocent human beings' lives in the name of war. Of course, they have to present it to you as if there's a war going on and not mass genocides being committed, because they don't want the people to rise up against these psychopaths who are responsible for all of it. So if you look at some of the stuff from those clips, there's a few things that need to be pointed out. Very clear that we saw the twin pillars, right? How deliberate was that? The two pillars. Of course, those are the pillars from Freemasonry. Yahin and Boaz, we always see these two pillars prominently in Freemasonry, whether it's artwork, Freemasonic artwork, or it's actual monuments that they have out in the open, or if you can actually get inside one of these Masonic lodges, you could see it for yourself. In addition to the black and white Masonic checkerboard floors, we always see these two pillars, and you see in that clip. Well, we, of course, like I said, saw the capstone on top of the pyramid lit up, right? That, again, is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. That was deliberately lit up on purpose because it represents the completion, the connection to the divine, or for them, their connection with their god, Lucifer. And speaking of Lucifer, you may have noticed how blatantly obvious this was in the sky. The way they positioned the lighting behind those two pillars was to make the sigil of Lucifer, a symbol I've exposed many times in the past. You could clearly see it right behind the two pillars, right in front of the three pyramids. Now, you may have also noticed that some of the lighting was deliberately done next to those two pillars as well, which clearly represented the phoenix rising out of the ashes. You could see how it depicts two wings. The lights on the left and the right of the pillars depict two wings, and that's, again, the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is something that Anya uses all the time in his transhumanist performances. The phoenix rising, these men and women connected to machine, man and machine merging together as one. So this was clearly a massive ritual that was deliberately done, because remember, everything they do is deliberately done on certain days when certain people are there. You're not going to see Donald Trump in the front row at what you know, a common person would look at this and say, what is this, an Illuminati concert? You're not going to see Donald Trump out in the open there. You're not going to see other world leaders out in the open there. But they were all in attendance. This was deliberately done, as Donald Trump is now being hailed as the great peacemaker, as the modern day Cyrus the Great. This whole performance by Anya is obviously symbolizing the new world. And again, the new world order that is coming. man and machine. His concerts are nothing more than massive transhumanist rituals. That's what they are. Conditioning of the audience, using frequencies on the audience to condition them without them even realizing what they're going to be accepting in the future.